When a reclusive tech mogul rescues a struggling nurse from a blizzard, neither expects their quiet connection to unravel emotional wounds from the past. On the corner of a quiet street in the middle of a brutal winter storm in Avalon City, a woman sat hunched at a bus stop bench, her hospital scrubs barely shielding her from the cold. Her fingers were raw, lips trembling, and exhaustion clung to her like ice. Her name was Mara Lowell, 29, a nurse who had just finished a grueling double shift at the city's underfunded public hospital. She had no cab fare, no working phone, and no one waiting for her. A black SUV slowed nearby. Inside was Caleb Vaughn, 36, founder and CEO of a tech empire, rich, aloof, emotionally walled off since losing his mother in his teens. He noticed her from the corner of his eye and something tugged at him. He rolled down the window. "You'll freeze out here," he said. Mara hesitated. "I'm fine, you're not, get in." She didn't trust easily. But the storm howled harder. Something about his voice, calm, low, final, made her legs move. She slid into the passenger seat. He turned the heat up without a word. For a long moment they didn't speak, but something in the silence felt like the beginning of something irreversible. Caleb wasn't used to company. His penthouse overlooked Avalon City's skyline, its sleek lines and automated lights built for solitude. He handed Mara a blanket, then a bowl of steaming miso soup he'd made himself. He cooked, strangely enough. Mara's body thawed, but not her guard. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. Caleb didn't look up. "You reminded me of someone." She didn't ask who. He didn't offer more. He showed her to a guest room, told her to rest, said she could leave in the morning. As she closed the door, she paused. "Thank you, Caleb." He looked up. "Good night, Mara." The city buzzed beneath them, but in that glass and steel apartment a rare stillness bloomed. In the morning Mara tried to leave early, but a citywide blizzard lockdown halted all transit. Caleb offered breakfast. She declined, then watched him crack eggs and hum faintly to a jazz tune. They sat in awkward silence, two people from different worlds, her in borrowed sweats, dark brown skin glowing against the morning light, her eyes tired but sharp, him in his tailored shirt, pale with silver-threaded hair, features unreadable. He asked about her work. She told him about long nights, relentless patience and student loans. He listened without interrupting. When she joked about ramen being a luxury, his brow furrowed. "You live like this, every day?" he asked. "Yeah, don't you?" He didn't laugh. She did. The snowstorm lasted 3 more days, and strangely, so did Mara's stay. Caleb began setting out tea each morning. She found books on the coffee table she'd once mentioned. One night he found her on the balcony, eyes on the stars. "You ever think the universe is trying to say something?" she asked. Caleb looked at her, not the sky. "Only when I meet someone I wasn't supposed to." He didn't touch her, didn't move closer, but his presence was steady, solid, and for the first time in years Mara slept through the night. When the roads cleared, Mara prepared to leave. Caleb handed her an envelope with cab fare and a number. "If you ever need anything." She looked at the number. "You mean that?" "Yes. Even if I just need ramen," he almost smiled. "Especially then." She left without looking back. He stood at the window watching until the cab disappeared into snowlight. Back at the hospital, Mara found things subtly changing. Her school loan showed a mysterious reduction. Supplies she'd begged for were suddenly approved. A patient's surgery, once deemed unaffordable, was quietly covered. She had no proof, but her gut knew Caleb. She sent a message to his number. "Why are you helping me?" His reply was immediate. "Because someone should have helped her." She never asked who her was. She didn't need to. They met occasionally. Late dinners, early coffees, no kissing, no declarations, just presence. Mara's feelings grew into quiet gestures. He always knew when she needed silence, when she needed soup, but he never opened up, never touched her hand. One night she said, "I think I'm falling for you." He blinked, nodded, said nothing. She waited, and when he said nothing again, she stood, left her coat and walked out. Caleb didn't understand heartbreak until the quiet became unbearable. He avoided meetings, turned down deals, walked past her hospital like a ghost. His penthouse was colder, the balcony emptier. He called her, no answer, texted, nothing. For the first time since he was 17, he cried. Mara moved upstate to take a head nurse position. She tried to forget, tried to forgive, but each time she saw miso soup or heard jazz or watched snowfall, she remembered. Some men bring flowers, Caleb brought silence, and it had both saved and broken her. A year later, Mara stepped into a flower shop in Avalon City for her aunt's funeral. And there he was, buying lilies. He turned, eyes met, neither spoke. Until he whispered, voice shaking, "You're coming with me," she laughed, choked by emotion. "Still ordering me around?" "No," he said, "I'm begging." Mara followed him without question. They didn't go to a penthouse this time. Caleb took her to a quiet park near the city's harbor. It was late afternoon, fog curling off the water. They walked without touching. After minutes of silence, he finally spoke. I didn't know how to love the way you needed me to. Mara looked ahead. And now, I still don't, but I'm learning. I've been learning since the moment you left. He pulled a small notebook from his coat, worn edges, pages filled with her words, the ones she had said, the ones he wished he had. You remembered, she whispered. I never forgot. Back at his apartment, everything had changed. The guest room was still there, but so was a second toothbrush by the sink, her favorite tea in the cupboard, a framed photo of her at a community clinic event, one she didn't know anyone had taken. You kept all of this? I was hoping I'd have the chance to show you. She touched the photo, heart thudding. You were never the problem, Caleb. The silence was. I know, he paused. But I want to be loud now, in the ways that matter. They didn't rush. Mara stayed in the city for a few weeks. They cooked together again, miso soup and now her lentil stew. They shared playlists, late-night walks and even group therapy sessions. Caleb didn't just say he'd changed, he showed her. He apologized not once but often, never expecting her forgiveness. And when he did reach for her hand for the first time, it was shaking, so was hers. He asked to meet her friends, her goddaughter, her favorite elderly patient Mrs. Eldon, who'd once told Mara she was too kind for a man who won't call her his. This time he introduced himself. Not as Caleb Vaughn, CEO, just Caleb. He knelt beside Mrs. Eldon's chair, brought her tea and asked about her life like it mattered. Later, Mara leaned in. You're doing good, he smiled softly. I'm doing my best, because you deserve that. Caleb never proposed with fireworks. No diamonds, no press. He simply leaned across the breakfast table one day and asked, Can we stop pretending this is temporary? Mara looked up, spoon paused midair. Are you asking me to stay? No, he said, eyes serious. I'm asking you to build something that won't ever need to be rebuilt. She reached for his hand. Then let's build. 6 months later, they married in a greenhouse run by the hospital outreach program Caleb secretly funded. No tuxedos. No guest lists of elite investors, just friends, nurses, and people who had known them before either had labels. Mara wore a pale yellow dress and no shoes. Caleb cried when she walked down the aisle. I never said it before, he whispered, but I love you. I've always loved you. I know, she smiled, but it's still good to hear. They didn't vanish into luxury. Instead, they opened community clinics across Avalon, donated anonymously to food banks, and built a mental health wing at Mara's old hospital. She returned to work part-time, not because she had to, but because it fulfilled her. Caleb started mentoring at-risk youth. He said it helped him remember how to feel. At night they read in bed, sometimes talked until sunrise. Other times just listened to each other's breathing. Because love didn't have to shout, it just had to stay. Mara once asked if he'd written her letters during their year apart. He nodded and handed her a box. Inside were dozens, unsent, dated and raw. One read, I know I broke the best thing that ever happened to me. If this is what punishment feels like, I deserve it. But God, I miss the way she hums off-key while making tea. She cried reading them, then wrote her own. I loved you before you were ready, but I'm proud of the man who finally met me halfway. 1 year later, another blizzard hit Avalon City. Mara and Caleb walked out together, coats wrapped tight. They found a young man shivering at a closed diner, just like she once had. Without hesitation, they brought him home. Fed him soup, let him sleep. I guess it's a cycle, Mara said later, as they watched the snow from the balcony. Caleb nodded. Then let's keep it going, and in that quiet snow, 2 hearts that had once been broken became healers. Years from now, when their story is told, no one will remember the wealth. They'll remember how he stayed through her storms, and she saw him before he even knew himself. They never needed a perfect love story. They just needed one that was real. And when the world feels cold, lonely, and uncertain, remember, sometimes the person who warms your hands in the snow is the one who'll hold your heart in the dark. If this story touched you, inspired you, or made you believe in the quiet kind of love again, don't forget to subscribe for more cinematic journeys of healing, humanity, and hope.